Wish my high school class was here to see all this. By the way, I just attended my 50th year class reunion a couple of years ago. No, 1949. It's unbelievable. 50 years. And out of a class of, graduating class of about 140, there were like 65. So it wasn't bad. Anyway. Okay, we've got a brand new subject now called communication, how to affect other people with words. See if we can't get this done in the allotted time here. Then we have a variety of subjects for tomorrow. Time management, financial independence, leadership, and our goals workshop. You might be thinking about that between now and tomorrow, the things you'd like to accomplish in the next 10 years. Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? What do you want to see? What do you want to have? What do you want to share? Because we're really going to work tomorrow. Everybody's going to work as hard as I work. In fact, the workshop, you work a little harder than I work. My part's a little easy. But I want to give you a formula for goal setting that you can teach. You can teach it to your family. You can teach it to your company. You can teach it to your office. Whatever you've got going, organization. I'm going to give you a model to follow, helping people with 10 years. And you'll master it tomorrow, and then you'll be able to pass it on and share it with someone else. Here's what's important to me, is to take what's my notebook, and in your notebook. Take what's in my head and get it in your head. Because here's what I really live for, and that's that the ideas I share will be passed on. So would you give me a promise? I will share these ideas with someone else. Everybody say, I promise. I promise. Wonderful. Here's what that does for me. Gives me a chance for a bit of immortality. Because I have this sense of future that 100 years from now, when I'm gone, somebody will be going through a box of old dusty books. And in this box of old dusty books is one of mine, Seasons of Life or something. And somebody blows off the dust, they read it, and it affects their life. Now, maybe the person who reads it affects other people's lives. Maybe they go on tour. Maybe they give lectures. Maybe they give seminars. And no telling how far an idea can go. If it's worthy, if it has merit, and if it does good for the human spirit and the human soul. So the same is transformed by sharing ideas with you. You share it with someone else. I share it with an audience of 1,000. An audience of 1,000 shares it with various audiences that total 1 million. So who knows? There, Jim Rohn's ideas live on in the people who speak, and in the books who present, and in the videos that someone might watch years to come, that gives me a chance to live on in an idea. That's fabulous for me. That's what I live for. So I appreciate you making that promise. And I know that you've been doing that, not just with what I've been sharing all these years, but the other mentors you've had, the other speakers, lectures, ministers, songwriters, people that have affected you with words. It's dramatic how far it might really go. Okay, let's talk about communications affecting other people with words. Here's number one. Words almost have the power of God. I did a lecture at the Crystal Cathedral 2-3 years ago, a men's conference. I did my first talk at the Crystal Cathedral about 29 years ago. They had a possibility thinkers breakfast. Danny Cox used to be the host, and I used to speak for them every once in a while. Now they have a possibility thinkers luncheon, I think every month, and I've done a few of those. And of course, Dr. Schuler and I have traveled a lot of places together. Last time we were together, we went to Singapore, and we went to Kuala Lumpur, along with Les Brown. This was quite a combination. Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and Dr. Schuler. Talk about a variety. I mean, it was the whole scene. It was just amazing. So, communication, good words that can affect your life, so valuable. So let's talk about it. Words are almost godlike. That was the topic of the little talk I gave. In the beginning, God spoke and said, let there be light, and there was light. So the note to make is, seems like God's words create light. Someone says, well, God's words, but what about humans? And the note is, humans can get very close. What if somebody can't see how they can possibly be successful, and you come along and tell them your story, choosing the best words you can? And when you finish, they might very well say, now I can see. So here's the key phrase. The light of sight and the light of insight is so valuable for a human being. And if you can create the light of insight, someone might say after they meet you, before I met you, I was blind. Now I can see. Before I met you, there didn't seem to be a way. Now there's a way. Wow, that's powerful. Before I met you, I was in the dark. And while you were talking, some things dawned on me. Is that possible, to speak to another person and have the sun come up? The sun of their consciousness, their awareness? The lights go on, we say? Amazing. That's why I love to lecture, because the same lights that went on for me at age 25 especially, when I was first introduced to profits are better than wages, success is something you attract by the person you become. For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. Those words illuminated my life. And some of them gave me a track to run on. Some of them gave me code to live by. Some of them gave me a philosophy that helped to refine the one I had before, and it opened up a whole new world for me. And finally brought me here to Dallas, Texas. So it's extraordinary what words can do. And I'm as excited now about sharing the words as I was, 39 years ago when I first started sharing the words for the public. Now, before that, in sales training and management training and recruiting training, I started sharing ideas long before that. But 39 years for the public, like today. And it's extraordinary what words can do. So words have almost the power of God because they can create sight and light. So words create light. We talked earlier about words being food, nourishing the mind, but words being able to trigger sight for someone, to see things they never saw before. Here's what's possible by words, to help people see themselves better than they are. By words, you can transport people back to learn from their experiences, and by words, you can transport people forward to see themselves rich, to see themselves successful. They can see themselves in charge. They can see themselves opening up incredible productivity. To really help our children, we must help them to see themselves as they are. That's important, to help someone see themselves as they are. But then you don't want to leave them there. Now you want them to help them to see themselves better than they are. So, let's talk about words that make a difference. Here's what the prophet said. Words are like a lamp for your feet so you can see where to walk. A lamp for your feet. Then he said words are like a light for your pathway so you can see where to go. You can not only see close around where to step, but you can see where to go, called purpose, goals, objectives. And words have the ability to do that. Transform us into creatures of sight, insight. So let's talk about words that make a difference. I've got 4 steps to achieve good communication. Just make a note of these 4 steps. Here's the first step. Have something good to say. That's fairly obvious. First of all, if you're going to say something, you must have something. Because you cannot speak that from which you do not know. We say when you get ready to talk, you want to make sure you've got a verbal check that will cash. And the only way to have a verbal check that will cash and have an effect on someone else is to make the deposits ahead of time. That's what you're doing today. Making mental deposits to prepare for the time when you're called on to speak and talk, you can draw from this experience. Because hopefully this weekend we are putting an huge deposit into your mental bank of awareness, ideas, information that can be utilized. So, speaking from knowledge, you first of all have to have the knowledge. Here's the key on gathering knowledge. It takes a lifetime to gather it all. You can't have tomorrow's experiences. Today, you must get through today, get ready for tomorrow's experiences. But if you'll gather up the experiences of today, be ready for tomorrow, having more to say tomorrow than you had today, that makes an incredible difference. So the key word really to good communication, number one, is preparation, getting ready to speak, getting ready to talk. And for humans, getting ready is a lifetime chore. We send our children to first grade, and after that first year, they've only got 1 year now. It's second grade, third grade. For the little wildebeest in Africa, doesn't need that much time to prepare to run with the herd, escape the lions. They say when the little wildebeest is born in Africa, it has about an hour or less. After it's born, the legs are wobbly, and it stands up and falls down. Its mother nudges it and says, get up, get up, get up. It wobbles around, falls back down. The mother pushes it and pushes it, says, get up, get up, get up. Why such an urgency? Because you got to do this in less than an hour. Why less than an hour? The lions. The lions. So in less than an hour, the little wildebeest is able to run with the herd and have a pretty good chance of escaping the lions. Now, human babies take a little longer. After 16 years, we're not sure, really, for some, able to escape the lions. But for teenagers, for all of us, all of our lives, we keep learning so we can escape the dangers, maximize the opportunities, pass on the things that aren't going to do us good. That's a lifetime job. Preparing. Then when it comes time to speak for your career, to speak, to be a teacher, to speak, whatever the occasion may call for, you've got to be ready. So preparation is the key. I started preparing to do little talks for service clubs when I finished my first career, making my first fortune. I moved to Beverly Hills. Great place to move if you've made a fortune. Sounded intriguing to me. I thought, hey, that'd be great. Beverly Hills. Wow. So I get to Beverly Hills, and one of my friends who belonged to the Rotary Club said, you got to come tell your story. Idaho farm boy makes it to Beverly Hills. I said, okay, sounds good to me. So I went and told my story. Before the day was finished, my phone rang a couple of more times saying, you got to come tell us that story. We've got a breakfast meeting. We've got a luncheon meeting. So before long, I started sharing my story all those years ago, starting with service clubs. That was 39 years ago. Now, to develop a little talk for the service clubs, I put this together. So take these notes. This is pretty good. The 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. The 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. Number 1, life is worthwhile if you learn. Life is worthwhile if you know. What you don't know will hurt you. Ignorance is not bliss. You've got to have learning, information, in order to exist, let alone succeed. Life is worthwhile if you learn from your own experiences, negative or positive. We learn to do it right, sometimes by first doing it wrong. Picking up the signals. They say if you survive your first heart attack, you may now live to be a very old person, because that first heart attack woke you up. And the doctor said, if you have another one of these, you're history. And you say, wow, I got to make some changes. Head for the health food store. Start working on my health. So life is worthwhile if you pick up the information, whether it's from negative or positive experiences. Here's something unique about a negative experience. It could turn out to be positive. Here's what we call it, a positive negative. It's easy when you're young to speak out of turn. And finally you learn. Speaking out of turn is too costly. So now we learn. Sometimes from an embarrassing situation, now it becomes positive because we learn from it. So don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because that could be the greatest period of learning. Now here's the other key. Life is worthwhile if we learn from other people's experiences. No use confining yourself just to your own learning of your own experiences. Learn from other people, negative or positive. In one seminar I teach, too bad failures don't give seminars. They would be very valuable. Now, we don't want to pay them, so they don't give seminars. The information would be valuable. If a guy's messed up his life for 40 years, you have to say, John, would you spend a day with me? And I'll bring my journal and take good notes. Teach me for a day. Good-looking guy like you, beautiful family, every reason to do well, threw it all away. Teach me for a day how you messed it all up. And you just take good notes. Sure enough, the things that messed up his life, you may say, wow, I'm doing a bit of that. I better make some changes. So learning from someone else's experiences, negative or positive. If you're driving down this road, somebody flags you down, you roll down the window, this guy that flagged you down looks like he's been in a wreck. His clothes are almost all torn off, his head is bleeding, and he says to you, don't go down this road any further. The bridge is out. He said, I just survived the crash and came back to warn you. Would you roll up your window and say, mind your own business and head on down the road? The answer is no. So have you got that note now? Learn from other people's experiences. Then in that other seminar, I say we learn 3 ways. Here's how you learn. By what you see, pay attention. Next, by what you hear, be a good listener. And in that, I also mentioned be a selective listener. Don't let anybody just dump anything into your mental factory. So we learn from what we see, we learn from what we hear. Next, we learn from what we read. Read the books, people that have gone through it, been through it, wrote a book on it. No telling what you can gain from that book. Other people's experiences, positive or negative. Next. So life is worthwhile if we learn. Nothing worse than being stupid, I tell the kids if I have a chance to lecture at school. Don't leave school without it, ideas that can benefit your life. Later on, there's some things you may throw away, but right now, the key is to get it all. You can sort through it later. Say, well, I don't need this anymore, and I don't need this anymore. But at first, you got to get it all. Because one thing, when you get out there, you don't want to be stupid. Nothing worse than being stupid. Being broke is bad, but being stupid is what's really bad. And what's really, really bad is being broke and stupid, right? That's nothing much worse than that, unless you're sick. Sick, broken, stupid, right? That's really bad. And that's the worst unless you're ugly, right? But surely that's life's most negative scenario. Ugly, sick, broke, and stupid. So my whole key here is now, to make life worthwhile, you have to learn. Learn from every source. Learn from lectures. Learn from songs. Learn from sermons. Learn from conversations with people who care. Keep learning. Next, here's what I said. Life is worthwhile if you try. You can't just learn. Now you've got to try something to see if you can do it. Try to make a difference. Try to make some progress. Try to learn a new skill. Try to learn a new sport. It's worthwhile if you'll try, attempt, try. Doesn't mean you can do everything, but there's a lot of things you could do if you just tried. Papa said, you'll never know till you try. If I set the bar up 2 feet and I got some kids and I ask the kids, who can jump 2 feet? Some say, no problem. Some say, not me. Some say, I don't know. Well, how are we going to know all this? And the key is you got to take a run at it and see if you can jump 2 feet. Now, what if you knock the bar down? Does that mean you can't jump 2 feet? No, you got to try it again. Maybe next time you'll have a little more breath. You'll try a little harder, and sure enough, you'll clear 2 feet. So the key is to try, number 1, and to try again, number 2. Here's a whole key word to study, and that's ingenuity. Try it another way. Try it early, try it late. If the front door isn't open, try the back door. If that doesn't work, there must be a window open. You just keep trying until you find a way. That's a good reputation to have. You tried. You just didn't let it go. Said, oh, well, I don't think I can. You don't know till you give it a try. Try to win the game. You can't just go win the game. You have to try to win the game. See if you can be best. See if you can score more points. See if you can last in endurance longer than the opposition, the other team. Why not give it a try? Here's a key. Try your best. Give it every effort. Why not go all out? So life is worthwhile if you learn. 2, life is worthwhile if you try. Here's the third one now. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Life is worthwhile if you stay. You've got to stay from spring till harvest. Some people plant in the spring, leave in the summer. Or the guy builds a foundation, then he leaves it, goes off and builds another foundation. He's got these foundations scattered across the country. Never stayed and put up the walls and the roof and finished something. Just kept starting and leaving and starting and leaving, didn't stay. Here's the best on stay. If you've signed up for the turn of seasons, stay till they're finished. Doesn't mean you have to go do it every time. But if you've signed up in the spring, stay till the harvest. Come on. If we ask the team to come and play for us, if they're behind 40 points in the third quarter, they don't say, hey, it looks like we're going to lose, we're out of here. We'd run them out of town. So if you've signed up to play the game, you play until it's over. Play till it's over. That doesn't mean you have to play every game. That doesn't mean you have to play next time. But if you've signed up for this time, make the note down there. See it through. If you signed up for the day, see it through. If you've signed up for a project, do your best to see it through. Now, sometimes calamity comes and it's worth wrapping it up and that's the end. But hey, just don't leave in the middle. See it through. Next project, maybe you pass. But the one you do sign up for, see it through, see it through, see it through. If you sign up to watch the game, why not stay till it's over? The team doesn't feel very good in the third quarter when, everybody says, we're out of here. Looks like they're not going to win. Goodbye. The team morale is not at the highest. So if we expect them to stay, what? We should stay. Who are these people that leave before the game is over? Walking behind you, spilling Coke down your neck and, knocking your hat off. And who are these people? Guys, well, I'm going to beat the traffic. Oh, that's a great skill. Beat the traffic. If you say, well, the team can't leave, but I'm going to leave. See, you can't say that. Say, if I expect the team to stay, even though they're behind, looks like it's, lost cause, then you ought to stay. Here's what that is. That's good practice. If you sign up for the game, you play the game. If you sign up for the deal, if you sign up to watch, you watch till it's over. If you sign up to do something, try your best to see it through. Some things we need not just the results, but the practice. I asked Bill Bailey one time, really got on somebody's case pretty severe. And being a hillbilly from Kentucky, he had the unique ability to do that. And I say, Bill, why were you so hard on this guy? He said, well, number one, he needed to hear it. And number two, I need the practice. I thought, whoa, that's pretty good reasons. Find somebody that's got a few errors in their ways and just practice on them, right? See? Just great. So learn to stay.